Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another night of NGS action. Tonight we have two Division C East teams going at it. We have Zul'jin Distillery going up against Team Frank Furters. Both these teams have been very quick in getting this match underway, so I want to get you guys over to that real quick. My name is Icex. I picked this cast up literally last second, was not planning on casting at all tonight, and then it kind of just worked out that this was the last match that needed to be picked up, and so I was like, sure, why not? I got this. And so we're looking through. These teams are both in the lobbies. Zul'jin Distillery, they won the coin toss. They elected to go with the map pick, giving first pick over to Team Frankfurters. Zul'jin Distillery, they banned out Volskaya Foundry and Infernal Shrines. Frankfurters responded by banning out Braxis Holdout and Dragonshire, and Tomb of the Spider Queen was picked up by the side of. Oh, sorry, not Tomb of the Spider Queen, Towers of Doom. Towers of Doom, I looked at the wrong map. Towers of Doom was picked up. And like I said, these teams are just like ready to go. Everything was made, set. Give it 1 second. The game will load up. I promise that'll happen. Just gives it a little black screen for a second. But these teams are just ready to rock and roll. There's no waiting with these two guys. And I appreciate that. I love that as a caster, seeing that these two teams are just antsy to get this game underway. Towers of Doom, one of those kind of notorious comeback maps, seems to go late every time you play it kind of deal. No team really, we don't typically see stomps too much in Towers of Doom, and I don't expect that at all tonight coming from these two teams. Both these teams are sitting near the top of the Division C East. I believe Frankfurters are the number 2 team coming in, and Zul'jin Distillery, I think, are like the number 4 team. So both are pretty evenly matched as far as the standings go. Let me see if I can actually pull up the standings while we wait to see what's going on. Yeah, Frankfurters, they've played 3 matches and they have won 6 games, lost 2. So they are 1 domination and then 2-2-1 victories. Meanwhile, Zul'jin Distillery, they've played 3 matches. They have 1 domination as well, but they did drop 1 map, and I believe that was to House of Ches. Let's see if I can look that up. Their results. Yes, they won against U.S. Army Esports and they won against Team TBD, but they did drop against ALG, which was Almost Legends G. What's G? Almost Legend Gold? I'm guessing Almost Legends Gold. They're usually some sort of metal with the Almost Legends. So, but we do see these maps getting, or these bans getting underway. The side of Zul'jin Distillery electing to ban out both Zul'jin and D.Va. Zul'jin, one of those strong range attack champions. D.Va, good bruiser mech, can do some serious double soaking on this map and also get to rotations to team fights quickly. Sonya, one of those, again, really strong double soakers. So we do see 2 bruiser focus, and then Sylvanas, usually good for pushing, getting some sort of map control, especially in that bot lane where there's the tower, good in the 4-man. But we do see ETC being locked in, first pick from Frankfurters. You gotta love how much value they put into a champion like ETC, who can be easily countered by a lot of interrupts coming out to make sure that mosh pit just does not happen. But picking the ETC over the Chromie did leave Chromie available for the side of Zul'jin Distillery, and they elected to pick up that Chromie pick for themselves, also picking up the Tychus in addition. So both assassins are locked in for the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Curious to see what we're going to see in the offlane. Maybe not that heavy damage. Nope, we do see a Leoric. Okay, so we do get a pretty solid bruiser that Tychus will have a good time melting down, and Raynor rounding out the assassin pool. And this first rotation being picked up by Frankfurters. Raynor's going to have excellent zone clearing potential with the Raynor's Raiders, or even with the Hyperion, depending on which one he decides to go. We'll be able to get some burst damage onto whatever front line decides to come out for the side of Zul'jin Distillery. And Leoric is going to provide a lot of double soaking power. Being able to land a critical entomb onto the Chromie will just pretty much lock her down, especially once he gets to level 20 and gets that silence, which, again, these fights typically go late. ETC is not necessarily a bad pick. He's going to, picking him early is going to have a lot of mosh interrupt potential, but he can always go for that Death Mosh at level 20, and then you can't interrupt that guy. But we do see Uther and Stukov, so now more focus being put onto the stronger support champions with the, incredible crowd control for the lockdown. We still see the Anduin available. We still see the Ana available. Chromie typically not one of the mages that we do typically see paired with the Ana. We do see a Variant and Malfurion, so that taunt Varian with a Malfurion root lockdown, since the Uther and the Stukov were both gone. Variant Malfurion is one of those next best options. Anduin can be as well, but Malfurion going to be locked in here for Team Zul'jin Distillery. They still got that lockdown target. I'm assuming this is a taunt Varian. Varian doesn't do necessarily well into double soaking against Leoric, so we'll see what they elect to go with their last bruiser. But Brightwing being picked up here, and the mage is not going to be. We're going to see the double bruiser into a Tychus. Interesting. Tychus already being picked up, and we do see the double bruiser rotation coming in from the side of Frankfurters, feeling confident that they can make this hyper carry Raynor work with the Rexar potential to set up a lot of these ganks. But yes, the Malthael, which why not? You've got two bruisers and a tank sitting on the side of Frankfurters. The obvious choice into that kind of a lineup is pick the Malthael, go the last rites, and just start having fun in the lane. So I really, really like the draft that has come out of Zul'jin Distillery in this game one. We'll see how they execute it when we get into the match, but just looking at the overall draft phase, I really like what I see coming out of Zul'jin Distillery here in this game one. I think they have a very excellent team comp for the map that they chose, and it counters the side of Frankfurters pretty well. They did go a little less heavy in the later parts of the draft for Mosh interrupt potential, so this ETC could definitely go Mosh, only having to worry about the Tychus. Malfurion can go the Silence later, but that's about it. That's all they're going to have for Mosh interrupt potential. So if ETC could land some pretty crucial Moshes, we could see some big plays coming out of Frankfurters around some of these objective fights. So we're going to see how these teams elect to fight around the objective, see if we can get some good fights. But let's get these two teams introduced. On the side of Zul'jin Distillery, we have Cowboy Kyle coming in on the Malthael, DeWitt on the Varian, Led sitting on the Malfurion, Ankle Shot sitting on the Chromie, and Be Fresh on the Tychus. Over on the side of Frankfurters, we got Bog sitting on the Raynor, we got Dowling Pig sitting on the ETC, Magic Monster on the Leoric, Indecisive sitting on that Brightwing, and DJ Cold Cuts on the Rexar, giving up the Jaina spray. No, that's Nova. Giving up the Nova spray.
3, 2, 1.
ETC electing to go for that Pod Rock. Variant is going to be that taunt variant, so going to get that parry at level 1. We got an ace in the hole Raynor going for the hyper carry build, so Variant's just pretty much going to be like, okay, my job is to keep you from hyper carrying, keep you from being able to lock him down and prevent him from doing what he wants to be able to do in these later games here. Variant will be, Raynor will be able to get himself scaled up in the later games. We do see these two teams starting to get a little bit of a fight here. Variant getting slid by the power slide and going to go down real quick. Great focus fire and a nice polymorph coming out of the Brightwing to secure that kill onto the Variant. Getting a nice early pickup for the side of Frankfurters there. Variant, being a little aggressive on that early play. Typically when you see the Chromie and the Variant combination, you kind of want to lay off, just let Chromie poke it out instead of getting in there and fighting. Variant really doesn't come online until that level 4 area. Dowling Pig getting a very aggressive power slide, getting a nice knockback onto the Tychus, and an excellent polymorph. Look at that stun coming out of the Chromie there. Misha does go down, but Chromie going with that W build doesn't get the stacks from the Q. Gonna just continue. ETC again this ETC is being very aggressive in this early game. Tychus is going to try and return some of that punishment, but Raynor can pretty much self-peel against any Variant engage pretty much the entire game, as long as he keeps that penetrating shot up. Anytime Variant decides that he wants to jump in, Raynor can say nope and knock him back. So timing's got to be on the Raynor side in that situation. They got to get some good lockdown from the Malfurion to make sure that they can secure that Raynor. But both camps being picked up, a lot of the pressure going to be in the spot lane. We're going to see the Leoric and Malthael just doing the double soaking game. We'll, catch up with that. They're really going to be able to clear waves just as evenly, but Leoric kind of wants to be in the opposite lane. Brightwing going to go up and give a little bit of assistance due to the fact that she can just teleport herself in with that passive. And both teams just starting to, put a little pressure. We do see the taunt online now, so DTC getting taunted out the lockdown, and this is the lockdown that we saw being drafted out of the side of Zul'jin Distillery, getting a nice lockdown on ETC. ETC's got to be careful. He's one of those tanks that's a little bit squishier than all the others. Doesn't have the highest health pool, doesn't have the highest base armor like some of these others, the Johanna, the Diablo, things like that. So got to be a little more respectful of the Varian taunt in this situation. If Varian can get a lockdown with the Tychus follow-up, the Chromie's got enough burst that any target that gets taunted is going to get locked down and destroyed. And Misha is that next target there. Varian just gonna play this game off of cooldown and try and get as many targets as he can with this taunt Varian. But we do see the first objective coming online, going to be a contestation over this bot lane. These two tops should just trade out, but Leoric getting a nice camp pickup in the top lane. I didn't see how much experience he may have sacrificed. We do see Varian going and taunt landing onto the ETC. ETC getting follow-up rooted by the Malfurion, but able to get himself away that time. Raynor getting a little help from the Brightwing to be able to get some extra pressure, but Varian just not done. He's gonna commit to this Misha. Misha does go down. Brightwing getting fairly low herself, and ETC low as well. Leoric is rotating down. They do have the 5-minute advantage. If they can interrupt this Malfurion, they're not going to be able to, but they still can pick the fight here. Leoric getting himself in. Varian's got to get himself out, and the Malfurion route is going to be able to provide some of that zoning potential that everybody on the side of Zul'jin Distillery will be able to get themselves away, no problem. So good start coming out of Zul'jin Distillery here. You know, like I said, aside from that, really that level 1 fight, which typically you don't want to pick those level 1 fights around Varian, they played a very calm, cool, collected game. The ETC landing a fantastic power slide. Raynor just unfortunately not quite having enough burst damage yet. He will get it as the game progresses. But Varian coming in again, landing the taunt onto the Rexar, power slide going through the ETC on the Varian. Varian trying to get himself away, but Raynor not in that quite that hyper carry mode yet, not able to put enough damage down. Misha trying to get herself away, but a nice stun onto the Malthael from the Misha, and Raynor there to finish the job. We do see the unstable compound being picked up by the Raynor. He's gonna be able to start pumping out a little more damage now, and they're setting up for this potential push gank. The Malfurion excellently scouting it out, putting a nice mood flare into that bush to, you know, scout out any potential shenanigans that could be developing there. But this aggressive camp pickup I'm really liking, although they are sitting here as the 5-man, so a lot of this soak up in the top lane is going to be missed by the Leoric, giving the macro pressure over to the side of Zul'jin Distillery, trying to get their 10s online. They do have pretty much at this point 2 of their 10s already activated. Varian getting the taunt now at level 4 is, you know, typically what we consider the 10 for Varian, and Chromie already being able to pick up those sands, so those slowing sands are going to be quite valuable in some of these team fights before this level 10. So this next objective is massive value for the side of Zul'jin. Rexar getting just caught out here, locked down. Look at this lockdown potential we see coming out of the Malfurion and the Varian, and Chromie getting traded back there, so nice power slide. Being able to, you know, Raynor's loving these squishy targets. He'll be able to burst them down, no problem. It's the higher health ones that he's going to have a little bit of a tougher time with until he gets to that level 16. But we do see this aggressive play coming in from the side of Zul'jin's Distillery. They don't have the Chromie, so it's a 4v5 situation. Due to the fact that Rexar is going to come back, they do end up giving it up, trading 1-for-1 on the objectives, and going to go back to farming out this top lane. But here comes ETC again. Look at the aggressiveness on this ETC, knocking back the Malthael, just holding that power slide, waiting until he needs to use it. Excellently timed and well done by the side of the Frankfurters. Varian's going to come in, try to just get some return pressure, but down here in the bot lane, we got Chromie and Malthael getting some pressure in this bot lane, which is ultimately where you want to see the pressure go. As long as Varian is able to stay safe here, not get caught by this rotation, Tychus is sitting, waiting to see if maybe he can get some help, sneak in. He does realize the Brightwing's up here, so he's doing this 2v1. He does pop the ultimate there, puts down the drill to be able to put some damage on Leoric. He's going to continue to try and fight this one out. Leoric getting the heal from the Brightwing, and now he's got to run. The penetrating shot could land from the Raynor, and it does connect with the Tychus, and that is another pickup. Taunt goes down, and Malthael is here. Last Right's going down. It is enough to pick it up, and that is one stack on Last Rights going over to the Malthael player. 1 of 10. He's got a few more to go, but that is going to help reduce that cooldown of the ultimate, ultimately make him be able to be just a menace here in the late game. Rexar able to get some, you know, return return pressure in this bot lane, able to get some siege potential. And, you know, looking right now, we can get these 10s kind of
The
introduced
old
before the next big
rise
team fight. We've
again.
already seen a couple, but shield wall from the variant going to give himself a lot more shielding. Last rites, slowing sands picked up with the Chromie, the drill by Tychus, and Twilight Dream being picked out of the Malfurion there. So he is going to go for that just big silence play on top of whoever gets rooted by the variant. Meanwhile, on the side of Frankfurt's ETC going with the Mosh, we got the pack mentality coming out, or sorry, I always call it pack mentality. It's unleash the boards coming out of Rek'Sai there, but we do see the Liork getting a little aggressive. Variant coming in, does land the taunt onto the Rainer, so the Rainer did get caught on the situation. Nice damage coming down from the Chromie. Look at that burst, followed up with that Hyperion Science and the Root. The Hyperion going down to be able to provide some zoning potential, but Misha does go down. The Mosh goes down onto the Malthael, but Malthael able to get himself away. ETC does trade his life away. Liork going down as well, but Tychus is coming in. Tychus is full health, and he's ready to start shredding some targets out. He's onto the Rek'Sai, a nice grenade. Rek'Sai is not getting away from this one. That is a third pickup coming over for the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Nice turnaround for their team, even though Malthael got kind of picked off there in that early portion of the fight. The rest of the team were able to kite themselves backwards and return, and now they get the prize of getting the opponent's camp and allowing themselves to just continue to press their advantage. They've got about a full level lead in the experience right now. They've got some good macro pressure. I'd say they have the lead in macro pressure just slightly, but ooh, Varian getting a nice taunt of the Rainer and the Root going down onto the ETC as well. So double value coming in there, and that is another kill going over in favor. Like I said, I really like the composition coming out of Zul'jin Distillery. I think they had just a really, really good draft phase. They played this well. They knew their map. They saw what the opponent was drafting and had answers at every turn. You know, picking up the Tychus early, it's just giving, you know, the side of Frankfurters, they're giving Tychus even more value there. Picking up all those big beefy frontliners that Tychus is like, yes, please, I like to shred those people. But Tychus just, he's going for at that level 4, picking up that in the rhythm. That's just going to continually increase his taunt, or his minigun time. But we do see another kill going over on to the Rek'Sai there. ETC having to run this taunt variant. I just got to make sure I know where this taunt variant is all the time. I saw this potential gank being set up by the Rainer coming, rotating up, but before that happened, Varian was able to land a taunt. Anytime Variant's going in, he's going to try and lock down target. And they've got enough burst and follow-up crowd control that target should die. As long as Brightwing, it's up to Brightwing to be on point, be able to pop the passive in order to be able to help targets stay alive as best she can. Maybe get a polymorph down onto the variant before he's able to land the taunt. But that's what it's really coming down to, and we're going to see this fight over this bottom objective. It's 4v4 right now. The Liork and the Rainer are still trying to come in. Chromie unable to get the channel, but we do see ETC getting taunted. There is no follow-up damage here quite yet. Malthael was rotating towards the mid lane, so this is going to give favorable position to the side of Frankfurters. Malthael now rotating himself down. Chromie should be able to poke this off from range as long as she can get frontline, but looks like they're going to just give this one up. They kind of weren't in good enough position to kind of contest it, and so that's going to be 4 core shots going over in favor of Frankfurters, 28-24, favoring the side of Zul'jin Distillery just slightly, but the MAC pressure is heavily favoring Zul'jin Distillery in this mid-game right now is where we're kind of rotating into. But we do see the variant going in. He's still being aggressive, does land the taunt onto the Rainer. Brightwing is coming in, able to get the heal down and the shield, and that is going to be variant trading his life for the aggression. Maybe getting it too deep there, trying to force a pick onto the Rainer, but Rainer able to keep himself safely. If this power slide does land on the Chromie, she does, and he gets a knockback, and this is a good pickup by the side of Frankfurters, getting 2 quick picks. Malthael getting pretty low here. Liork able to get that solo kill in the top lane as well, so that's a nice 3-for-0 value coming in Frankfurters. Frankfurters showing a little bit of life here in this late mid game. If Rainer can land this penetrating, oh, it doesn't knock him back that far enough. Unfortunate there, but nice, nice play overall coming in from the side of Frankfurters here. Unfortunately, it wasn't around an objective, so everybody will be back alive, but they are able to relieve some of this map pressure that Zul'jin Distillery had started to create here. They weren't running away with it by any means, but they were definitely putting a lot of pressure on the side of Frankfurters, and now we see, that pressure being alleviated a little bit in that top lane and in this bot lane, being able to claim both of these pumpkin camps in the bot lane. And now we got a triple altar phase coming online for both teams here. We'll see what these teams are able to do in this. It looks like the side of Frankfurters are going to go and try being aggressive and get this bottom fort. Meanwhile, the side of Zul'jin Distillery, they want to go get this pick in the top lane. They do. They get the Leorc there. They're going to go for the double altar play instead of trying to defend. So that altar, or sorry, that fort will fall. Actually, it is keep now, so that is keep value. So that keep does end up falling, and that will be pretty good value coming out of the side of Frankfurters there. You know, they take 2 tower shots, but they get that bottom tower. They did end up losing the Leorc, which is kind of unfortunate there. But now we'll see the side of Zul'jin Distillery rotating down into this bot lane, trying to pick this up. And right now, I mean, sitting at 16s, you know, that kill, ooh, the nice Misha stun onto the Tychus, but unfortunately no follow-up from the ETC, getting knocked down from the Varian there. Now they are keeps. I'm sorry. Now we've got keeps instead of forts. I thought it had already been unlocked. It wasn't. Now it is. We do have keeps. So that was a tower pickup. It got tower experience, not keep experience there. Now these are keeps, and the way you can tell is when this tunnel does come online, these forts upgrade into keeps.
I mean, I knew I could do that. I've opened my
But we do
tunnel
see
as well.
another pickup in the top lane onto the Malthael. There's just fighting all over this map right now. We got the right wing being able to teleport in and give a nice 2v1, and we got the Variant going in with the taunt. You know, a lot of focus. Typically, we just see a lot of the focus going on in this bot lane, and that's where all the action's at. But there's been so many kills in this top lane and mid lane this game. It's kind of been all over the place as far as the action goes this game. So typically not too prepared for that, but we do see a nice push being put in the top lane. Meanwhile, a great defense by Frankfurters here in the bot lane, able to keep everybody off of this fort. Variant unfortunately can't go in too heavy. Oh, Malfurion getting caught out here, and that will be a very quick death. Raynor able to get that burst damage on. He is now at level 16. Raynor able to get somebody. A nice Emerald Wind coming out of the Brightwing, locking down that Tychus player, able to just get herself in that backline somehow, some way. And now this is a very, very good advantage for the side of Frankfurters. They've got a double altar phase with all but one keep picked up here. So this is going to be 14 shots going over, and this will be an 18-9 game before you know it here. Sorry, I can't math. That would be 6 shots. There are 5 keeps picked. Oh no, they did get this bottom tower. So I could math. They just picked up the tower before the shots went off. So it was 5 from each shot there, or 6 from each shot there, and we are now sitting back into an 11 on 18. So overall, you know, it looked like the side of Zul'jin Distillery were doing very well. They were playing their composition well, getting the picks that they wanted. Varian was able to just lock down these targets, and then they got a little overzealous in one of those fights around this bottom fort, and now they're kind of stuck in a bad place. Rexxar is an excellent fort defender, so being able to pick up these forts, Rexxar is just loving it because he can defend this fort no problem at all. This mid keep is going to get picked up by the side of Frankfurters, and now they're just going to put on a clinic on rotation and defense from this Rexxar. This Rexxar is going to have no problem defending. They got to send the whole army to get this Rexxar, and that means that map pressure will be able to be created elsewhere on the map there. I mean, absolutely fantastic game coming out of Frankfurters here in the second game. Nice Entomb coming out of the Leoric. They have their 20s. That is a Silence Entomb. Mosh Pit landing on the ETC there. Does get put to sleep. The taunt does land from the Varian there. Does not go with the Death Moth. Elected to go with the Teleport. So a 1-for-1 trade. Nice trade. I mean, overall, if this Variant can go in and get a second pick with the whole team down here right now, they can create some absolute massive pressure here, trying to get some sort of life in this late game with the Tychus. Malthael is here. He's still only sitting on 2 stacks of those last rights. He got those 2 kills very early and has not been able to finish it off. Leoric being able to channel, but the last rights does pick up the kill there. A 3rd stack going over for the Malthael. And taunt going down, or Variant going in, lands the taunt onto the Brightwing there. The nice Emerald Wind to be able to provide disengage. Meanwhile, Varian getting fairly low from the Leoric. Malthael is able to pick up that up top objective. Leoric now having to run, Brightwing teleporting herself in to make sure everybody's healed. Hyperion being put down by the Rainer. Tychus is getting in silence from that Entomb. He cannot get away from that. Taunt going down on the variant, but a lot of the damage with the Tychus is now gone. This objective is not picked up. We see the ETC coming back in 8 more seconds. If the Malfurion, if the Malthael is able to delay long enough to get another last rites, he may be able to do this. Taunt goes down onto the variant. Malthael is here. He's going to be able to provide a lot of this damage. Leoric will go down, and last rites will be up in 6 more seconds. Chromie rotating herself in. This should be an objective pickup for the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Nice knockback on the penetrating shot from the Rainer. They're not giving up yet. They're ready to keep going. Malthael is in a pretty aggressive position. Nice two-man power slide coming in. Chromie getting very low, not able to get herself away. ETC able to finish that off. Meanwhile, the Malthael is just trying to put down a lot of this damage onto the ETC. They got to be careful. Leoric will be up soon. Malthael, or Malfurion, getting killed again. A nice return kill on to the ETC there from the Malthael, and now he is onto the Rainer. Rainer is just trying to kite through all this damage. Brightwing is getting herself away, but Rexar is now in the fight. Leoric will be back online here in 1 more second. Tychus will not be up for another 3 seconds. Malthael and Varian have to run. Unfortunately, they cannot, and both of them will eventually go down here. So overall, a nice trade. They were able to get one of these keeps back with passive minion pressure, so that's a pretty, significant pickup for the side of Zul'jin Distillery. That means that this keep will not be able to provide boss ending pressure here. It's down to 6, so boss will bring it to 2. Pumpkins will potentially be able to end, but everybody, at least the Chromie and the Malfurion, will be back up, that they will be able to provide a nice defense for this. So we're down to a 16 to 6. Like we said, Towers of Doom usually goes late. It's never really one of those one-sided maps. Can be on a team who really knows how to play Towers of Doom, but most of the time it goes late. We are in the very, very late game. 20s are online for all teams here. Varian going with that cooldown reduction on the taunt. Malthael going for the Angel of Death, so he will be able to put down a lot more damage instead of going for the no one can stop death at level 20 to get that revive pressure going. He is sitting at 4 stacks of 5 due to the fact that he's at that level 20. So that quest is halved there, but Brightwing getting caught out. ETC going in with the teleport and the aggressive power slide. Does not elect to pop the mosh pit there. Decides to hold on to it instead of popping it, and looking to just escort these pumpkins in, make boss end. But taunt going down onto Leoric. Leoric getting rooted out. Last Rites is already popped, and that will be a pickup. That Last Rites will be up very soon. Misha getting picked off here as well. So nice 2 kills coming in for Zul'jin Distillery, coming online again here in the late game, saying we're down, but we're not out. And this keep should be picked up. Varian going in, trying to land another taunt here. The Last Rites will be up in 3 more seconds there. Brightwing trying to teleport herself in there. Does get in, but Last Rites are available. ETC going to land a Mosh here. The Last Rites is popped onto the ETC. Not quite enough, but he does still go down with the burst damage there. Malthael trying to get himself healed up there. Brightwing putting down a lot of this burst damage. They do have the 4v3 advantage. Misha is here trying to get those stuns to go out onto the Malthael. Varian goes in, lands it onto the Rexar player. Chromie does not land the Q, and so Varian is getting in trouble here, getting very, very aggressive. Rainer just doing what Rainer does best, keeping himself safe from distance and being able to provide a lot of this damage, and now he's putting the damage down onto the Chromie. Malthael is here. They can push fast, but Leoric is back up live. He does land the Silent Entomb onto the Chromie. Malfurion, doing an excellent job keeping the Chromie alive, and Leoric does have to run. That was a pickup onto that bottom objective coming in for the side of Frankfurters, and now they're running straight to boss. Boss does end this game, so there is going to have to be this contention over the boss play. Tychus will not be up for another 14 seconds, so everybody's got to get healed up and get to the boss as quick as they can. It's a 4v3 situation. This boss is now at about half health there. Malthael is the one that's got to be the first one in there. He's not quite there. He's going to try to get himself in, but this boss is picked up by the side of Frankfurt. That will be GG with the 4 shots coming in, and Frankfurters coming in with the comeback victory here in game number 1. I don't want to say I doubted them. I mean, I did. I doubted their team comp for sure, but they did. They executed it very well. The side of Zul'jin, they definitely had the advantage from post 4 all the way up till that throw kind of fight in that over that middle objective that came online. They were having the macro pressure and everything like that, and then they just got a little too aggressive. And credit to Frankfurters for finding a way to get like a 3-0 trade when they were behind. They were like a level and a half behind, but they found a way to get 2 kills in that middle bottom area, and then that solo kill by Leoric up in the top lane, and then quickly turn this game kind of on its head from there. They were able to neutralize the macro pressure that was created, and then take that momentum and kind of run with it, and eventually came back and won this game. But I mean, we knew the Rainer's damage. We were making comments about how little it was in that early game, but look at how much damage he ended up putting in that out game. Once he got that 13-16 talent to come online right here, he just started cooking, and he put out so much damage, 93,000. And if you want to, some lessons on how to play Rainer, just go back and watch the VOD. I mean, the positioning Rainer had to be very, very patient and be able to put out that consistent damage was very excellent. Meanwhile, Rexer did a fantastic job defending out that first objective in the bot lane, and then rotating top and being able to just solo defend top for as long as he did. So well done by the side of Frankfurters to get themselves back in that game. Like I said, Towers of Doom, it's a comeback map. It's never over. They were down, I think, like 14 tower shots, 14 core shots, and ended up winning by, I believe it was 12. So, you know, comeback potential is always there. Let's get you guys back over to the rest of the talents. I didn't talk too much about the ultimate selections coming out. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with Tychus's build. His main build right here coming in, he went for a very I just want to stay alive build, because this is really all he needed. Like, they had triple bruiser or tank and two bruiser there, so all he really needed to do was make sure he could keep himself alive and use in the rhythm to put down the damage. So I don't necessarily disagree with the build coming out here, considering that's essentially all he needed to do there. But yeah, Rainer, I mean, most of these builds are pretty standard builds that we see coming out of these champions. Malthael, he got 2 stacks really quickly. I was like, oh man, he's gonna get this last rites quest finish rather quickly. And ultimately, he didn't get it finished off until one of those last fights there. So we're gonna kind of hang around and see where we decide to go for game number 2. Meanwhile, this is back on the map screen. We still have 5 maps available for both teams. The side of Zul'jin Distillery, they will get the choice between map pick or first pick here. And looking at some of these maps, I mean, these are fairly large maps by the most part, except for Tomb of the Spider Queen. Tomb of the Spider Queen, another one of those scrappy, everybody rotates really quickly and there's a lot of action going on all over the place kind of map. So that'd be a fun one to go to. I don't think we're gonna go there. These bigger maps may be the ones that we're gonna start to see the rotations into, like a BOE or a Cursed Hollow, maybe an Alterac Pass. I don't unfortunately know enough about these two teams to know if they have like favorite map preferences or anything like that, but just looking at the way Zul'jin Distillery played that mid game, they like to be able to roam as a group and get some ganks. So I would expect them to go to like a bigger map here if they got the map pick. But just waiting from these teams. Did just get the lobby posted, and it looks like the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Oh, I'm in the game and I get to play. No, looks like the side of Zul'jin Distillery gave up the choice. They wanted to go first pick this game rather than map pick. So map was picked up by the side of Frankfurters, and we are going to go to Cursed Hollow in this game number 2. So did go to pick the map, like the size of the map, right? Like going to a bigger map. Picked the wrong team to pick it though. So it was Frankfurters that ended up picking up where we were going, and we are going to Cursed Hollow, which I typically consider the antithesis to Towers of Doom. Towers of Doom is one of those, it's always easy. Like, it goes late. It can always have comeback potential, blah, blah, blah. Typically that's a Cursed Hollow. It's very, very action packed up till the first curse. And then usually once the first curse is picked up by a team, that team just kind of snowballs their way to victory. So the objective is very, very important on a map like Cursed Hollow. There is way to create like macro pressure. The first 2 objectives typically aren't the biggest things in the world to worry about, especially the first one. The second one, there's a little more value if you didn't get the first one. But once it becomes curse point, then the objective gets very, very valuable because you don't want to give up that objective, and get your team in a rut. But if you can get macro pressure like get a Falstad or the Lost Vikings or something like that to create enough macro pressure before those first curse come up, and maybe get an early keep, or maybe get just enough map pressure that the minion waves are constantly pushed into the opposing team. Then maybe the first curse isn't the worst thing in the world. There's still the potential comeback. But if you're a team that's being the aggressors and you pick up that first curse and you get a nice, team wipe around that objective, it's really, really snowbally on Cursed Hollow. So these can typically be quicker map pickups. And there's always boss play potential as well. Some teams trade out bosses for objectives. Some teams decide to just fight and contest bosses all the time. And then we see, potential throws going down at boss play. So uh, we'll see. We'll see how the teams decide to react here in their pick and ban strategy going into this game number 2. I don't anticipate seeing the. Well, we may see actually another triple bruiser tank combination coming out from the side of Frank Furters, because why not when you're always scrapping and having a beefy front line. But maybe we'll see a little bit more macro heavy intensive champions come out in this game number 2 here. Maybe we'll see, Falstad's in a pretty good spot with his auto attack build right now, so we may see a Falstad come out. And the fact that they gave him Boomerang as like just he always has on his Q, like his Q's permanently Boomerang now. He can do a lot of he can create a lot more pressure in the off lane, being able to quickly clear minion waves and apply a lot of siege pressure with that auto attack build. So Falstad could definitely be a ban that we see getting banned out here. And there's always the potential for like an Abathur Illidan, Abathur Samuro, Abathur Murky, kind of those fun cheese comps that we typically don't get to see too much in competitive play, but sometimes can make their appearance here, and it's always fun and a treat to be able to see some of those come out. So we'll see, but we're still waiting on one last person to get in here, and got one person that's taking a little bit longer to get into this map, and then we should get everything squared and underway for this game number 2. I'm hoping this series goes all the way to 3 games tonight. I love 3-game sets. Most of my sets have been 2 recently. But I'd love to see Zul'jin Distillery finding a way to sneak a win in here and setting us to a game 3. But yeah, I again, apologies if it sounds a little more monotone tonight than typical on my cast. Like I said, I was not planning on casting tonight. This was literally I picked this up I think like 30 minutes before the match was even supposed to start. I wasn't planning on casting tonight. I'm definitely casting a lot the rest of this week, so I was gonna just kind of take tonight off. And then I looked at the calendar. I was like, "There's only one match that's not being cast tonight. We got to get somebody to cast that." And then my schedule just poof magically opened up, and I was like, "Okay, I'll go cast it." So, and it's been fun. That was definitely a very entertaining Towers of Doom map, and I'm hoping this is gonna be a very entertaining Cursed Hollows map as well. A lot of fighting all over the map on Towers of Doom, which I typically don't see. So that was kind of a nice change of pace for the Towers of Doom typical mantra. Make sure to keep the caster hydrated. Get ready for this second map here. What is going on? We're still waiting on one other individual. But yeah, I'm just looking back at some of these. I mean, we could see the Rainer coming in again on this map. Rainer typically can do very, very well with his siege potential on a map like Cursed Hollow here. Typical other champions that didn't get banned or picked up, like Diablo, may make an appearance. Diablo does very well in Cursed Hollow with the amount of close quarter combats, with the absolute insane number of walls that are available for Diablo to knock people around into and get some of those stuns. He did get a little bit of a nerf recently, so he may be a little lower on the draft priority than once was, but the only nerf was to his Q build. He's still got a very strong W build, like his heal build, and his auto attack build does fairly well into melee comps. So there's always that potential, as well as most people know not to draft a melee comp into a Diablo pick. But we do see Zul'jin again being the priority ban here. Falstad was not banned out in that previous game. Maybe we'll see the side of Frankfurters elect to ban out, change out some of their bans and elect to ban out that Falstad, or they're just not too worried about it. He's definitely still, he can play around in Falstad for sure. He just has a little bit more value on a map like Cursed Hollow, where he can get some of that side lane macro pressure going on. So Vaughn is getting the ban from the side of Frank's Furters, and now we are going to see where we end up in this second ban rotation. So similar bans coming out from both teams in the first ban phase. Now we're just waiting to see what the second ban phase decides to do. ETC, so there we go. There's a little bit of a respect nod going there. The Frankfurters did put a massive priority on the ETC, first picking him blind into the entire enemy team. So ETC not going to see the light of day on this map. Which, I mean, the ETC played a pretty good game. He's a little aggressive in some situations, but he landed some critical power slides as well and showed some great patience with some of those power slides. So, as a tank man, I always love seeing other tank mans play champions that I love, like ETC, very, very well. But there we go. First pick, Falstad, instant locked in. Like, he didn't even wait. He just, it's like, you know what? You left it open. I'm going to take it. So Falstad getting the first pickup here. Johanna being picked up by Dallying Pig. Gonna go with the other tank, a little more beefy frontliner, can be played a little more aggressively due to the fact that you can get yourself out of a sticky situation with that iron skin. And Dahaka picked up. So we do see both Dahaka and Johanna, so two big beefy frontliners picked up. Dahaka's going to try and match the macro pressure from the Falstad. Falstad will have a pretty good time in that lane, being able to just outrange Dahaka, range versus melee, as long as he can play well enough around the tongue. But Dahaka will be able to get to the fights and match the Falstad pressure. But we see a Tyrael picked up and D.Va. So Tyrael did get a little bit of a buff recently as well, which I love, because I've loved Tyrael since this game came out. He fell out of meta. I still tried to force play him. I actually played him earlier this season. I really love what Tyrael can do, and Tyrael does well on maps where there's a lot of like changing terrain, like a lot of paths that you can put make really good choke points with his level 13 talent. That force wall or shield or barrier, golly. And so Tyrael gets pretty good value on a map like Cursed Hollow, where you can sandwich, cut in half the enemy team there, like a really good, well-placed ice wall from a Mei. And then D.Va's gonna, do D.Va things, be able to put down bombs, fight over objectives, rotate to the team quickly, be in that lane that's going to be closest to the objective. But we do see Boggs going for the Rainer again, so maybe we see another hyper carry Rainer build. We could see the Brightwing coming in, but they already have the macro pressure to deal with the Falstad. We see Leoric being picked up. So they are going with this hyper carry Rainer build, like give Rainer 3 front lines that are really tanky and say deal with it. Tychus is not banned. Tychus has not been picked up. Are we going to see another Tychus play coming out of the side of Zul'jin Distillery? Tychus will be able to melt a lot of these teams, even more so than he did last game. We typically don't need to see Mage, but we're electing to go with Hanzo instead. So Hanzo Uther. Uther was a ban, made it through somehow, but they don't have the variant, so maybe that's how it got through. And so Uther being picked up, so there's a lot of lockdown potential coming out of the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Not as like point and click necessarily as what they had last game, but there's still a lot of potential follow-up with the Dragon Arrow, the Tyrael, and the Uther, if he goes for that Divine Storm, being able to just lock people down. But Lucio, a nice response to the Uther, being able to high five, slap other team members to make sure that they become unstoppable and keep them safe against the amount of crowd control coming out. The one thing that I do like Zul'jin Distillery has is the potential to make plays in the jungle area where the Tyrael at post 13. Typically, the first objective will be picked up before then. So, if Zul'jin Distillery are able to get that 13, get that first objective and get to 13, I really like their playmaking potential because they're gonna have a lot of boss control and camp control with the Tyrael and the Diva. Um, but they don't have as much ability to deal with the front line of Frankfurters as they did last game, and Frankfurters went with that big beefy front line and won game one with the hyper carry Rainer. And here we go, we're going hyper carry Rainer again, just with a different front line. So we'll see if Rainer is able to do it a second game, carry the team to a 2-0 sweep. Meanwhile, Zul'jin Distillery looking for that first win. Let's get these teams introduced. On the side of the blue team, we've got Zul'jin Distillery, and we got DeWitt sitting on that Tyrael, Led sitting on the Uther. We got Be Fresh sitting on that Hanzo, Cowboy Kyle, that's a sub, coming in on the Diva, and we've got Ankle Shot sitting on the Falstad. Meanwhile, on the side of Frankfurters, we've got the DJ Cold Cut sitting on the Dahaka. We got Magic Master sitting on the Leoric. We got Boggs on the Rainer. Dallying Pig sitting on the Johanna, and we got Indecisive sitting on the Lucio. And now we may see a little bit more level 1 scrapping coming out of the side of Zul'jin. They did some scrapping in the previous game. Actually, no, they're not. They've already committed Falstad into the bot lane before the objective even decides to show. So the objective won't come up here for another 7 more seconds, and then we'll see where that objective goes. But Falstad committing to the bot lane already. Dahaka committing to the top lane. The first objective will be in that top lane. Falstad's exactly where he wants to be. Dahaka's going to have to swap lanes here in a little bit. Meanwhile, Leoric is going to go down, try and create some bullying pressure in that bot lane. And we're going to see these teams just, like, probably clear this next minion wave and then go start getting some camps. I expect to see Zul'jin Distillery go for that siege camp right away. Go pick up their siege camp right here and make sure that they get that as quickly as they can. Meanwhile, the side of Frankfurters, they're going to go for that bruiser camp. Oh, nope, Rainer did go for the siege camp. Going to elect to try and pick up the siege camp, not get it on a timer for this first objective and create some pressure. They're just going to try and match the amount of experience being picked up by the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Meanwhile, we got a gank coming down in the bot lane. New York able to just rake walk himself over to safety, no problem at all. And everything's going to come back to just, being pretty calm, cool, and collected here. A lot of this early game is just going to be a lot of macro soaking, maybe get the occasional gank, but we do see Rainer picking up the siege camp. Meanwhile, Hanzo's still trying to figure out if he can get this finish, and he does. So we got camps picked up by both teams, going to rotate over and start picking up their bruiser camps after they do a little bit of ARAMing. But they want to get this camp try to pick up. Ping's already going out by the side of Zul'jin Distillery. They want to get this camp picked up, by like the 215 mark, ideally. The 230 mark, to be able to get the camp to get the pressure that they want to. But being able to start it at that 215, it is pretty critical to make sure you get both maps there. But Angle Shot, he's having a little bit of tough time. He's not in the lane matchup he was necessarily expecting. He wanted the Dahaka, he got the Leoric, and Leoric is going to have a little bit of a better time against the Falstad than a Dahaka would. So maybe that's an intentional, once they saw the Falstad going bottom, but Dahaka already going to burrow, and he's going to burrow over to this mini camp and try and help the rest of the team pick it up. Actually, he's going to finish it off. Meanwhile, Tyrael getting caught out here, trying to be aggressive and invading by himself, trying to get out with the Q, but they have enough speed with the Lucio to be able to catch up and get that Tyrael. So that's a very, very good pickup coming over for the side of Frankfurters, able to get that kill onto the Tyrael player there. And, Tyrael won't be back in time to contest this, so Diva's going to try and delay as much as she can. Falstad has to go all the way back due to being so low. Uther is doing what he can to give some time, but nice interrupt coming out from the Hanzo there. Lucio is going to try and amp it up and heal everybody up. D.Va getting knocked out of her mech, does not have the bomb to be able to drop and just gets instantly deleted. Meanwhile, Raynor getting fairly low, getting stunned out by the Uther. Lucio going to get himself away. Dahaka able to just heal himself back up, no problem. Raynor's going to go ahead and channel while the rest of the team just tries to zone off the side of Zul'jin Distillery. And 2 kills to none going in favor of Furters here in the early game. Nice pickup from that team. And oh, great interrupt coming from the Johanna, using the Condemn to bring back the Hanzo on the other side of the wall. Hanzo barely getting away. I have no idea how Hanzo got away there. Tyrael coming in to try and provide some pressure. Ooh, Raynor landing the penetrating shot over the wall. Picks up the Hanzo, waiting, you know, Hanzo did one of those auto attacks over the wall. Raynor saw where Hanzo was and just made, you know, let go of that penetrating shot. Picking up another kill onto the Hanzo there, and that is a 3-for-0 start with an objective picked up by Furters. And like I said, if they're able to continue this pressure, it's going to be really tough going for the side of Zul'jin Distillery to be able to get, you know, any sort of macro pressure due to the fact that Falstead's just not quite able to get going yet. Falstead is also of note going for that W build. He did not go for the auto attack build, electing to go for that dishonorable discharge, one of those newer talents there. It takes a while to get stacked up. You know, once it gets stacked up, it will do some damage. In the later game, Tyrael being very aggressive. They are catching out this Dahaka a little bit. Will they be able to burn him down? Falstead electing to try and go one-on-one the Raynor. You will not win that fight, unfortunately. Raynor's going to love that battle any day, and Falstead does go down. D.Va puts down the bomb. Wraithwalk being popped by Leoric to get himself to safety, and Leoric will trade his life here, being zoned out by that D.Va mech bomb. And Tyrael sitting fairly low, but Dahaka getting himself fairly low as well. D.Va's back in her mech here. And Tyrael able to just use that level 1 talent to be able to shield up all of his allies, keep them pretty healthy there. And, you know, we're just waiting to see if Falstad can get himself flown back over to this fight in time. Everybody's getting fairly low. Baby D.Va is right in the middle. She will end up falling there, being, you know, aggressive around that Baby D.Va form, you know, not having the mech bomb available this time. And Falstad now does not have the ability to be able to get himself away with his E. Dahaka going in, interrupts the Tyrael there, and decides to pull the Tyrael instead of the Falstad sitting right next to him. Interesting. Interesting. Now, Falstad had already used his E to get himself out when he flew in. He flew in a little too deeply, so that was on cooldown. Maybe they weren't tracking cooldowns as well as they wanted to, and Dahaka electing to go for the Tyrael. Maybe trying to catch him, like Tyrael thought he was just backed and wasn't looking at a screen or something, but catches the Tyrael there and is able to, you know, doesn't get the kill. And we do see a potential boss being picked up by the side of Zul'jin. Nobody on the side of Frankfurters is scouting this one out, so this will be a free boss picked up by the side of Zul'jin. Boss not being responded in the top lane. They aren't at their 10s yet. They could potentially go get this camp or just start to soak up in this bot lane. If Leoric gets caught out here, this will give a little bit of comeback experience. Can Falstad land that last W? Nope, not quite. Now Falstad getting a little too aggressive, has to back himself up. But 10s did just come online. We've got 10s for both teams, and let's look at those 10s real quick. Tyrael gonna just finish that off. No problem, completely uncontested. Hanzo going for the Dragon Strike, as you can see. You're using your ears, not your mouth. Sanctification coming out of the Tyrael. Micro missiles coming out of the D.Va there. Gust coming out of the Falstad. We already saw the Dragon Strike from the Hanzo, and Uther going for that Divine Storm. Sorry, scaling. Blessed Shield coming out from the Johanna there. Lands on the 3. Sanctification popped by the Tyrael. Everybody kind of sitting in the middle. Divine Storm going down. And look at this return fire coming out. Oh, a fantastic Intune coming from Leoric there. Catching the Hanzo. Hanzo not able to get himself away. Hyperion being launched from the Raynor. That is a pickup onto the Tyrael. Tyrael's trying to get some return damage onto the rest of the team there. Unable to do much. Falstead's got to be very careful. The tongue does miss from the Dahaka, so everybody's able to get themselves to safety. D.Va committing to just getting some of the split put pressure. She did even up the experience gap here. Tyrael will not be alive for this potential tribute play. If everybody could delay the mounting up, maybe D.Va could have delayed for Tyrael. Tyrael's gonna try and run here, so they've just got to stall as long as they can. Hanzo and the Uther are a little late. Diva's getting all the way in. She does have her mech available. She pops the bomb and she starts to run. Falsta's here trying to blow everybody back into the bomb. Decides to use that as a disengage as well. Leoric is putting down some of that damage. Tyrael getting pulled in by the Dahaka, but this Leoric is getting very, very low. Tyrael is in the mix. Diva still not done with their mech. The Dragon Strike coming down onto the Dahaka there, and Dahaka will go down. Leoric is too low to be able to provide any sort of support there, and this is another objective picked up by the side of Zul'jin Distillery, showing again some signs of life in the mid game. Now they're potentially setting up a boss play. Dahaka will be able to get here rather quickly. He will be alive before this boss picked up, I expect. Looks like they're wisely backing off the boss, knowing Dahaka can get here no problem at all, but they're kind of waiting to see if the boss is now going to be started by the side of Frankfurters and potentially contest this boss play. Dahaka hasn't committed here, but they don't know that this bush, they face check the bush here, and there's some serious damage going down onto Leoric. Johanna walking past with the Iron Skin will get herself away. Lucio, 2L names, is sitting fairly low, indecisive, has got to get his team healed back up, and so now Tyrael is getting pulled in, does get that unstoppable pop by the Uther. Uther's in the middle, does pop the Divine Storm. The Sanctification does get popped right on top of the boss. Johanna very low, pops the Iron Skin to get herself into safety. Leoric using that leeching life to be able to get some health back from the Uther. Johanna going all the way, and she does not have Iron Skin this time, but Hanzo does go down. Johanna is traded out in return. Tyrael just trying to get himself killed so he can get a good bomb to go down. Tyrael now has the ability to get that bomb explosion. Diva trying to get herself to safety. A nice gust by the Falstad. Boss was picked up. This does set up the tribute. If Falstad could fly, this is easily picked up by the side of the Zul'jin Distillery. Frankfurters committing to the Diva kill. There's no way that this doesn't get picked up, and this is going to be Curse Point going over in favor of... Oh, Dahaka! Oh, I thought he got it. He does get the kill, so some sort of consolation prize that takes a little bit of map pressure off. Ooh, if Leoric can pick up this kill as well. Wasn't quite able to get it, but you know, that pickup on the Falstad was pretty big. That's going to delay. As long as they clear out the boss, you know, they did get one fort on the side of Zul'jin Distillery. They may be able to get some pressure into the bot lane while everybody's still stuck dealing with this boss in the top lane. But looks like they're on the hunt. They might be able to get this Lucio. No, not quite. The wall is just stopping any sort of play. But Uther's not done. Look at the speed boost he gets from that Tyrael's level 7 talent. That is nuts. Meanwhile, Hanzo, you're in a really rough spot here. You got Leoric and Dahaka, and that is going to be a pickup onto the Hanzo player in the bot lane. But nice, I mean, pretty good pickup considering, you know, they weren't in necessarily the best position, losing a couple members in that fight. Tyrael's not done. He wants more. Smelling blood in the water there. Johanna is going to be able to delay as much as she can with this blind, and this objective won't get picked up. Rainer is now coming in. Blessed Shield being popped by the Johanna. The Divine Storm is being popped to get everybody to disengage. Shield trying to run away. He can get himself away. Diva should be able to get herself away. No problem. Does pop the mech very early there. Probably didn't have her Q. Oh, nice interrupt from the Lucio, and that is going to be one dead Diva. And Tyrael got in there to try and keep Diva alive, so they're kind of staggering themselves a little bit here on the side of Zul'jin. Meanwhile, nice pickups, you know, great boot by the Lucio to interrupt the Diva getting into her mech. And the side of Zul'jin, they just got to stop hunting. They got to wait, get back to being S5. When they're S5, they do some serious work. They are looking like they're setting up a boss play potential here in this bot lane, being able to create some pressure and potentially get a boss. And that's really what's been saving them in this game, is being able to get both of these bosses and keep some of that macro pressure in their favor. Because we do see the side of Frankfurters, they've got about that level lead going on so far, and that level lead is, you know, going to continue to evolve, you know, for them. Meanwhile, when Hanzo gets to 16, expect the damage in these close quarter fights over these objectives to just massively increase for the side of Zul'jin Distillery, getting those penetrating arrows at 16. We do see Leoric and Dahaka coming in now as well to interrupt this play. Diva using the micro missiles to be able to scout out the Dahaka. Everybody is here except Lucio, so it's a 5v4 situation right now. Gus being popped down. This boss is picked up. Dragon Strike does go down on top as well. The Johanna able to get herself away, and the Dahaka in the backline getting fairly low. Diva did not have her bomb. Falstad getting caught in the entomb there. That is one kill going down onto the Diva. Falstad did not fall, so that is a nice pickup onto the Dahaka. Everybody on the side of Zul'jin Distillery sitting fairly low, both in the mana and the health pool, except for the Hanzo. But 16 is just not quite available yet. Meanwhile, look at this camp in the top lane, able to get some pretty good value on this top keep. That top keep sitting at about 75% health right now. The boss is going to pick up everything in the bot lane. I wonder if Falstad could potentially, now Leoric's going to get here. It's too risky of a play. But you know, the team fights are definitely going in favor, it looks like, of Frank Furters. They've got a very good composition. Raynor is going to be able to put out a lot more damage now that he's at that level 16 as well. But Hanzo hitting that level 16, gonna pick up those penetrating arrows here any second now. He's kind of holding on, waiting for it. You know, suspense is killing us all. But, you know, the macro pressure being created by Zul'jin Distillery is pretty fantastic. They're playing around how they need to. The barrier being put down by the Tyrael, not trying to cut off that Lucio from retreating. You know, if he had waited just a second longer on that, maybe kept. But he went for Giant Slayer instead. Not going for the penetrating arrow, but going for the Giant Slayer. Wants to burn down a lot of his health, but nice separation from the Raynor. The Raynor has no way to get to the team, and that's pretty good, but Uther doesn't even get the D-Storm pop, just goes down straight right, and that is a Dragon Strike being put down by the Hanzo. Leoric is sitting so low, does get killed there. D.Va trying to stay alive as long as she can to get that available, but the curse is just somehow picked up by Raynor there. Of all people, Raynor picks that up. Dahaka does go down. The Johanna getting fairly low. They're chasing the Lucio, but they're never going to catch him. So Curse being picked up by the side of Frank Furters there. You know, that would have been a completely different fight if Uther had been able to get that ultimate off, but they got the Uther, were able to destroy him before he popped that Divine Storm, and so that pretty much delayed a lot of the damage output coming out of Zul'jin Distillery. They still were able to pick up a kill. D.Va's got to be careful here. Lucio and Raynor are both here, and D.Va does not want to lose this mech, you know, and to waste it, essentially. She wants to be able to utilize that and hold it to the last possible second here, but now everybody is here for the side of Frank Furters, so she's got to be very careful with how she decides to use it. Hanzo does not want to get caught by an Entomb. Right now, it's just bottom keep pressure or bottom fort pressure has been equalized. Tyrael looking like he wants to create some sort of play. Falstad is not here yet, so Tyrael, you know, putting out the Eldrin's Might, does not elect to go through. The Dragon Strike being thrown down by the Hanzo, not on top of the D-Storm, and so now the rest of the team looks like they're going to commit to just disengage. The D.Va using the mech bomb to negate. The D-Storm does go down onto all 5 members. That is a 2-man mech explosion. Wasn't able to quite finish everybody off. And Lucio at level 16. Falstad is in the back, lands the gust onto Lucio. Lucio's burned, but he does able to get away. Johanna very low, does not have the Iron Skin, so that is going to be a kill. No, she's able to get away, and that Tyrael goes down, and the Falstad goes down. Somehow, Frank Furters have turned this one around. Raynor is able to get himself away. Hanzo is trying to chase, and now Hanzo will trade his life as well. That's 3 kills to 1 going in favor of Frank Furters. D.Va does not have her mech available. The tongue does miss from the Dahaka there, but this is some massive wave pressure being created in the bot lane. The death timers are still fairly large, but side of Frankfurters electing to back off, go pick up this boss instead, and you know, live to fight another day. That was a pretty big pickup from the side of Frankfurt. I thought for sure that when that Storm went down by the Uther and right on top of that mech bomb, that was it. That was all she wrote. But both members survived with like 100 HP, and Lucio able to amp it up, get everybody back up to pretty good health, and you know, they were just able to kite. Like Falstad, Tyrael jumped all the way in to try and finish off the Raynor, wasn't able to. Falstad jumped all the way in to try and finish off the Raynor, wasn't able to. Hanzo jumped all the way in to try and finish off the Raynor, wasn't able to. And so the Raynor just refusing to die, baiting in 3 members, and all 3 members eventually go down. So great pickup by the side of Frankfurt. This is going to come down, you know, I said this was like the antithesis of Towers of Doom, but this game's going late. Neither team has really able to create enough pressure. Both teams have played very well to their strategies, and neither has played had a very aggressive first curse. The other team has seemingly done a great job defending it. This boss will be up in 6 seconds. We'll be curious to see if the side of Zul'jin Distillery elect to go counter it. They do not have 20s online, so maybe they will just decide to go soak up these lanes, try and create some more pressure in this top lane, in this mid lane. This boss is going to, or these siege minions are going to continue to siege. This keeps already at half health, so they don't necessarily need this boss. They can defend it pretty well. Uther is coming in. They do not have 20s online. Uther got caught. Oh no, Falstad plays the gust. Uther is able to get himself away. All right, Falstad MVP there. Like, you saved your team from a really, really sticky situation there. Falstad gonna go and try to pick up, and he should get this no problem. Dahaka gonna burrow himself. No, he's backing. He's backing. And so Falstad will get this. Falstad will be able to back. This boss is really the defense. If they can get a good, solid defense here, we will see this go to a potential. We'll see if this can potentially go to game 3. Dragon Strike being thrown down. Bankai with the raid. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. This is game number 2. We have Frankfurters leading, and they are putting potential series pressure on the side of Zul'jin Distillery, but Zul'jin Distillery have refused to go down all game, and they're doing a fairly good job at creating a good bot defense in this bot lane. It's been quite an event in this second map here going on. Tyrael getting very aggressive, trying to catch someone out there, but doesn't have the follow-up pressure there yet. Hanzo using the Dragon Strike, but that's just not going to connect with anybody. So a bunch of ultimates burned. Leoric going to want to counter-engage this. Uther coming in, going to try and get a D-Storm going down, but doesn't land it. Falstad with the continuous gust, able to pick up the kill onto the Leoric there. Johanna looking like she might be next to fall. A nice placement from the Tyrael there, but the Falstad got a little too ambitious. The Condemn from the Johanna caught her. There's the D-Storm coming out of the Uther, but it's more of a delay. Dragon Strike going down again from the Hanzo. The mech bomb is going to explode. It does do a little bit of damage, but everybody's got to run and defend. Lucio just able to speed everybody up. D.Va trying to get herself away. Uther now in a really rough spot. Lands the stun onto the Dahaka, but they're trying to peel for this Uther, and Uther may get himself away. It's going to be very close. He does get himself away. So holy cow, Raynor electing not to push with the team. They're going to go back and pick up the tribute. So you know, it looked like they, again, potentially had the opportunity to go in there, find the kill. Were not able to get all the picks. It seems like the ultimates, you know, they're just not quite in sync as they were earlier in the game. You know, early in the game, they had the D-Storm right on top of the Dragon Strike, and they were picking up so many kills with that combination. Now in this later game, it's just a little off. Hanzo's not waiting for Uther to find that good lockdown, using the Dragon Arrow more as a zoning. He does have the massive reduced cooldown on it at that level 20, so he will be able to get it back up. But if they can get one more combination, and it's really going to come down to who definitively wins the next big team fight. Like if there's a 5-0, both teams have win potentials, with the side of Frankfurters going to be able to push through bot lane, and the side of Zul'jin Distillery going to be able to push through the top lane and end the game. So both teams kind of just waiting around, seeing if they can be the ones to get that huge win. And I mean, in this late game, I'm definitely favoring the wombo combo potential coming out of Zul'jin Distillery, but the pick potential on the side of Frankfurters. But here we go. There's Lucio getting stunned out here. The continuous D-Storm, the Dragon Strike's going down. This is the wombo combo we've been waiting for. They're able to land it. Rainer's in here trying to pick it up. Johanna does not have the Iron Skin. Dahaka gonna go and get himself away, not able to do so. The Blessed Shield landing a nice 5-man Blessed Shield there, but it's more of a disengage ult. That is the pick that they were looking for. Now they're able to create some pressure. Hanzo not done. He's chasing this Leoric down, able to, and if there's a person that loves to hunt people down, it's going to be Hanzo. Misses the W there, does land the Q, putting out the E. D.Va's here for good measure, but Hanzo now silenced in this buried alive entomb, is going to try to get himself away. He's getting fairly low. Oh, the Leoric turns it around and gives the beast up for good measure. Oh, wow. Poor Hanzo. I mean, you gotta respect the silence on the entomb coming out of the Leoric. You always gotta factor that in as potential. Hanzo cannot get himself out like he could those first 10 levels, and now he is gonna be really in a rough spot. We do see, ooh, Leoric getting fairly low here. D.Va does have the micro missiles available. If they can get this pickup onto the Leoric, that will be huge. Falstad flying in, but isn't able to find micro missiles. Does go down. The Johanna trying to get herself away. Lucio is coming in. Will she be able to get in to save the Johanna? The Blessed Shield does go down. Lucio is here, able to speed the Johanna up, but Leoric came back. Oh, sorry, that was Dahaka that came back. And right in the middle of the rest of the team, Dahaka's not going to be able to do anything here, and just continually gets gusted back into that wall. Again, 2 more kills coming over to Zul'jin Distillery, and they are going to be able to pick up this third tribute and get the boss as well. Falstad finishing off the channel, picks it up. The boss is being picked up. I mean, they don't need the boss. They can use the boss because it will definitely apply a lot more pressure. But as long as they wait for Hanzo to get back here, this is going to get cleaned up. And this is do or die for the side of Frankfurters. They got to find a way to make this work. They've 3 members here. Johanna going in, she gets stunned out. The Diva Bomb's being locked. The Entomb goes down onto 4 members there, but the Diva Bomb knocks everybody away. The Sanctification comes down and saves everybody a little late, but the Rainer is going to get caught out here. That's another pickup, and this is going to be GG's. Game number 2 is going to go in favor of Zul'jin Distillery, meaning we are going to get a game 3 after all. They looked like they were up against the ropes 3v5, or sorry, it was 3v4, but Rainer electing to back and go pick up that first tribute point, not create some more siege pressure with the Hyperion. And the side of Zul'jin Distillery were able to save, stay alive and push and find some picks, get some bush ganks, some legendary bush ganks here. And this boss is not going to be, he's going to just destroy the score. So game number 2 going in favor of Zul'jin Distillery, and we are going to a game number 3. Well, for those joining, this has pretty much been the story of the series so far, and both maps have played pretty much the same way, except like the early game has always favored Furters. They've done well in the first 4 levels and get themselves off to an early lead. Zul'jin, once they get to like level 7, they kind of catch back up. Both teams get to 10, duke it out. Zul'jin kind of gets this little bit of a lead. Then Frankfurters find some picks to get back into it, and then they get to 20s. And then our first map, it came down to really 2 fights at the end. And this game, it came down to pretty much 2 fights at the end. Just in game 1, Frankfurters won the team fights, and game 2, Zul'jin won the team fights. So the first 18 levels have been scripted for the story has been written, but these endings are different. It's like kind of a choose your own adventure. We're getting 2 different endings, and we're going to find out what's going to go on in game 3. But looking at some of these stats coming in this second game, I mean, Hanzo putting out some serious hurt with that W build, getting that simple geometry finished off early and able to get even more arrows to do more damage with. Rainer not able to put out as much damage in this game, was able to stay safe, as much as he was in game 1, not getting killed, but he was not able to put out as much damage. The targets were not as melee intensive coming in from the side of Zul'jin Distillery, so Rainer was not able to find his way. The Falstad was able to create some of those pressures, more getting, some of those tributes picked up when there's a fight created on the other side of the map. He could just fly in and get some of those tributes. So he got a couple tributes, but man, I mean, that story of that late game, it was really, would Zul'jin be able to figure out a way to get one more of those wombo combos that they're landing at the level 10 and the level 12 and level 14? And then kind of just fell off the bandwagon there. And that's what allowed Frankfurters to get back in, as they started staggering their ultimates rather than just putting them all down at the same time. And then they found that bush gank, they landed it there, and then they found another fight over the top objective, and they put it down there, and that was it. So, Blackster, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Hope you're in for some great HOTS action, because there's a lot of games coming up this week, but we're not done with this series yet. We got one more map coming your way to figure out who's going to come away with these Titans of Division C East right now, and it looks like we have that map already. Whoop. That is not the map overview. That is my little picture. This is the map overview. You can see what's going on so far in this series. We've got Game 1 was picked up by Zul'jin Distillery. Frankfurters came away with a late game comeback win on Towers of Doom. Exciting map there. Unfortunate if you missed it. So Zul'jin Distillery got to go and pick our map pick the first pick. That means Frankfurters picked the map. They sent us to Cursed Hollow, and Zul'jin comes with the kind of, I'm not going to say call it a comeback victory. I'm just going to say that they won. It was just a back and forth kind of game. And now game number 3, we are going to go to Tomb of the Spider Queen, and that one was picked up by Zul'jin Distillery. So Tomb of the Spider Queen is where we're going to end it. I was mentioning earlier the possibility of going to Tomb of the Spider Queen because of how much these teams like to scrap around on Towers of Doom, and I don't think there's a better way to end this series than another scrappy map of Tomb of the Spider Queen, where there's just going to be so much fighting left and right. But Zul'jin Distillery are the ones who ended up picking up the map. That means Frankfurters are going to get that first pick. The real, the Falstad, I don't think is necessarily as valuable on Towers or on Tomb of the Spider Queen. It definitely has gust potential with all the walls, but if there's ever a time, neither of these teams banned or picked Diablo in the first two games. If there's ever a time to bring the Lord of Terror out, I think Tomb of the Spider Queen is where you want to see that come. And so we'll see if Diablo does decide to make an appearance here on this classic Heroes map. Looking at some of these other close quarter combats, I mean, the side of Zul'jin Distillery, they could theoretically, they're going to have to swap out the Falstad, but they could theoretically run it back with a very, very similar comp, going for that Wombo combo, Tyrael, Uther, um, Hanzo kind of composition where, they're playing around those close corridor fighting in the Cursed Hollow map. That's how they kind of built their composition out with the Falstad X Factor. Ektar coming in with a party of 5. Welcome everybody coming in for this series. Thank you for the raid and the follow, or no, just the raid. No, and there was a follow there as well coming in. So thank you guys for all that. I'm gonna try and recap this series. We're in going into game number 3. It's been a very, very back and forth game 1 and game 2. Both teams have been leading. Both teams have been doing comeback victories kind of deal. I mean, Zul'jin Distillery had an amazing mid game in that first Towers of Doom map, and then Frank Furters kind of just clicked off this like one just perfectly synergized all over the map. They got like 2 picks in the bot lane and 1 solo kill in the top lane, got 3 kills, and then just found a way to use that momentum to equalize the, they were up against the wall and they found a way to equalize and then come back and win on Towers of Doom. So Frankfurters making it happen in game 1. Game number 2, Cursed Hollow. I mean, we went really late on Cursed Hollow. I think it was like a 27, 28 minute game on Cursed Hollow. And it looked like there was end potential for Frankfurters in the bot lane, and they elected not to try and force an end, and the Zul'jin Distillery found a way to get another team fight that they've been looking for and land their crazy wombo combo, and they did, and they used that momentum to get themselves that victory in game number 2. So both these teams, I mean, if I had to say one short synopsis of this tonight, it's we have no idea who's going to win this game number 3. Both teams have strengths. Both teams have found ways to come back. It ain't over till it's over, and both games have gone really, really long. So we'll see if Tomb of the Spider Queen decides to become that 25-30 minute Tomb of the Spider Queen map. I hope not, but we'll see. But going into the back to the bans and picks, I'm wondering if we're going to see that crazy kind of close quarter wombo combo coming out of the side of Zul'jin Distillery. The Uther, the Hanzo, the what else did they throw in there? They had the Tyrael for the pick potential. With that, but that was more like just the defensive sanctification to make everybody group up to do the counter engage combo. But both teams, again, the Sylvanas and Zul'jin have been on first bans for both teams. No team has changed that. The only change that has really been made to bans is ETC getting banned out in that game number 2. Frankfurters electing to first pick ETC on Towers of Doom game number 1. And so the side of Zul'jin Distillery did not like that ETC. We'll see if they go again with the ETC ban. We'll see if Frankfurters elect to give a respect ban. Potentially to that Hanzo. That Hanzo put out some serious damage, but they're going with the early Stukov, so they waited to put Stukov as their 3rd ban. Now they're putting it up into that 2nd ban area, meaning Uther is still available. And we'll see if that priority onto the Uther is there for Zul'jin, or if they want to go grab, potentially that Hanzo who had that pretty massive game 2 on the Hanzo. Meanwhile, 2nd ban coming out for Zul'jin here. Maybe they would like to ban the Uther. They're going to go with the Rexar. Okay, so Rexar made an appearance in game number 1. Wasn't picked or banned in game number 2. And now getting banned out here in game number 3. Rexar does fairly well on Tomb of the Spider Queen, being able to put Misha into some of those Fog of War and get some surprise stuns. But ETC not getting the ban like they banned at game number 2, and Dallying Pig says, okay, I'm going to do it again. So he picks up first pick ETC a 2nd time. Was able to land some pretty good power slide mosh combos in game 1. But they didn't have a ton of interrupts for it. But the Yorick and the Rainer both being stolen by Zul'jin Distillery. They're like, you know what? We liked your composition. We're going to steal it. So they're taking the Entomb away. They're taking the Rainer away and saying, Boggs, you got to play something else besides Rainer, man. And he says, okay, I'll go Greymane. So we're going to see Greymane. Another, he can have such hyper carry potential, especially if they pair it with like an Abathur. I don't think they're going to, since they just locked in the Orphea. I think Abathur would be a little risky. I mean, it's still potentially there, since all they really need is a healer, and Orphea can, you know, handle some of that double soaking duty. But so we'll see what they do, or if they elect to just have something, because I don't know what they're going to put up against a Leoric right now. TBD on that one. But Orphea, and I always say with Orphea, Orphea in the hands of a very good Orphea player is just a terrifying thing to handle, especially on a map where there's this crazy fog of war potential, and ETC is your tank, where he can land a mosh and you can just put down the Eternal Feast right on top of that mosh and get some major damage going down onto whatever's caught in that song. But we do see Brightwing getting banned out. Brightwing was there game 1, didn't get picked or banned game 2, and Johanna getting banned out. They're like, don't run our comp back. So we'll see what the side of Zul'jin, and they can't pick the Johanna, they can't pick the ETC, so they can't quite steal the entire composition from Frank's Furters, but they still have the Hanzo available with the Entomb, and they have their main tank, so Diablo's still not picked or banned here. And there he is. Okay, I was hoping he was going to come out. Diablo coming out. Now it's just, is it going to be an APOC Diablo? Or is it going to be that, you know, easy bake oven combo where you put the Leoric in the Entomb and then have Diablo just breathe fire into it the entire time? But Diablo is going to make his appearance on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I'm stoked for that one. Meanwhile, D.Va getting picked up by the side of Frank Furters. A nice counter engage potential coming out to time it well with the D-Storm and with the Leoric Entomb, being able to kind of be like, okay, you can all dive it on this one target you caught, but you're going to get blown up. And Lili rounding out the composition, going to have some blinds for Raynor, going to have some crowd control with the, I don't think she's going to go cup of 1,000 jugs, or jug of 1,000 cups, sorry. We'll see what Lili elects to go here. I think the Water Dragon gets just a little bit more value with the team comp and the stun potential coming out from the side of Zul'jin Distillery. But Kael'thas rounding out, going to be able to put down that Phoenix and a lot of damage into that Entomb. So they're playing around this Leoric Entomb. Gonna bank on Leoric landing some great Entombs here in this game number 2. Both these teams have very, very aggressive team compositions, which fully expected. You know, looking at how game 1 and game 2 kind of worked its way out, I fully expected these teams to come out swinging here in game 3. For all you in chat, throw out your support. Who do you think is going to take this series? If you are a fan of Zul'jin Distillery, give them some love. If you think Frank Furters is going to find a way to pull this out and win in this game 3, throw it up. I'm going to get these teams introduced. On the blue side, we've got DeWitt sitting on the Diablo, Be Fresh on the Raynor, Led sitting on the, I can't see right now, sorry. He's blocking by Be Fresh. I believe that is the Kael'thas. No, that's not the Kael'thas. That's the Uther. That's Uther? Oh, it is Uther. Okay, sorry. We got Anklebot sitting on the Kael'thas, and we got Cowboy Kyle sitting on the Leoric. On the side of Frankfurters, we got DJ Coldcut sitting on the D.Va, Dalian Pitted on the ETC, Boggs on the Greymane, Indecisive sitting on that Lili, and Magic Monster sitting on the Orphea. Or sorry, Magic Master. And both these teams can do a lot of damage in these level 1 fights. Raynor going for that ace in the hole. Kael'thas going to get some stacks up, but D.Va already getting thrown all the way in by this Diablo, getting knocked out of her mech. Diablo's on the hunt, going to be able to get this D.Va. Potentially, he's waiting for his Q to come back up online, but Orphea is like, no, I'm ready. Greymane jumping all the way in to finish off the Diablo, and that's a nice return kill. Diablo just not quite tanky yet. He does not have the stacks on that Soul Stone yet. Will be able to get it, and so a nice return kill, counter engage coming out of the side of Frankfurters. I thought with that Greymane jumping all the way in, and Diablo, I didn't think Diablo initially not bursting down the Diablo. I thought that was going to be killed, but Orphea getting picked here up in the top lane. I don't know why she was all the way up here. nobody is low on the side of Zul'jin Distillery, so she was just being very aggressive with that rotation, and the entire team rotated up and was able to get the pick onto her. Diablo going in, does get the stun onto the ETC. ETC power slides through the Diablo, gonna get himself away. Raynor not able to get there in time to pick up the kill with the penetrating shot. And so, yep, as we expected, these two teams gonna rotate in this 4-man. Bot lane is gonna be this Leoric Diva matchup in the bot lane. Leoric gonna have a pretty fun time down there. Greymane will be able to provide some of that that damage potential, but Greymane going for the cheeky camp pickup here in the bot lane. Gonna try and sneak this siege camp down here. Meanwhile, Raynor kind of doing the same thing. He's looking around like, hey, maybe I want to go be the cheeky one to pick up this camp. Does scout out the Greymane. Oh, he hits the minion first, but now he's starting to put down the damage on the Greymane. Diva's going to rotate down, but Diablo is here. Raynor definitely has the help. Greymane going to get knocked into the wall. Raynor able to pop the heal on himself. Diva couldn't quite have the mech bomb, and that is a 2-kill pickup going in favor of Zul'jin Distillery, evening up this kill count, or sorry, taking a little bit of a lead in the kill count, but they're not done. Diablo getting the slide onto the ETC. ETC not quite able to get himself away. Will Raynor be able to? Yes, he does. He picks up, and that is 3 kills with the minions already at the gate. This is going to be a great siege coming out of Zul'jin Distillery. Coming in, Diablo making plays left and right. Got picked in that first one. Not so in these next few fights, and Diablo making plays all over the map. Look at him. He's already up to 84 soul stacks. Going to be a very, very tanky front line, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough for the side of Frankfurters to deal with that until they get that curse shot at level 10 from the Greymane. So these next, 2-3 minutes are going to be really tough for the side of Frankfurters, especially if the side of Zul'jin Distillery are able to get this first pickup potential. But they're holding on to it, waiting to get the camp first, clear out the camp in the mid lane, and get some incredible amount of map pressure in their favor to be able to get some more plays. But ETC going to slide in on the Diablo. Diablo just knocks him back. The ETC says, nope, you're going back. And they're kind of playing ping pong with the Diablo. Eventually, nothing happens, and the Web Weavers are picked up by the side of Zul'jin Distillery. Gonna siege up this mid lane with the extra mercenaries in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Diablo looking like he wants to create a pick. He does land the stun onto the Greymane there. Doesn't have necessarily the follow-up damage. Uther landing the stun on to the ETC. But again, there just isn't quite as much follow-up damage there. Now they're looking like they want to create. Usually top lane is the area of focus for most teams, wanting to create a little more pressure around that boss. But Diablo is just sticking with wherever the 4-man goes, trying to create as much chaos as he can. The rest of the 3-man electing to siege up this top lane with the Web Weaver. Leoric getting some solo pressure, getting some nice pressure. Diva's got some good clearing potential. She's going to be able to do a lot more at level 10, but Diablo's like, no, you're not coming up here. This fort is getting fairly low. Diablo landing a nice stun onto the ETC. Lily coming up, getting stunned out by the Uther there, and the rest of the team kind of just having to back off. ETC is power sliding through the team to try and get to this Web Weaver, but the Web Weaver is going to finish off the fort, and that is going to be a fort pickup in the top lane for Zul'jin Distillery. ETC getting stunned into the broken down fort. Diablo landing the long range Q, and that is going to be a dead. I say long range like it's a skill shot. It's a point and click, but he did that from pretty much max range. But Diva using her jet propulsion already. Diablo going in, does land it onto the Lily. Uther is there for the follow-up stun, and they are just getting picked apart here. The Diablo is getting so much value using that, that shadow charge and just over and over again, getting picks left and right. That was exactly what I was talking about in the draft phase. Diablo just is one of the best this is his best map hands down, able to just create so many plays all over the map on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and Diablo is putting on a clinic on how to aggressively rotate as a Diablo player right now. 10s are still not quite online for the side of Frankfurters. They will have a better answer for this Diablo with this Curse Bullet, and they will have the Wombo combo setup potential when they get their 10s with the ETC Orphea. We just got to get there first. They only lost one fort, so it's looking pretty good for them. They have turn-in potential, but they got to equalize this map pressure first. Diablo, meanwhile, is having a 1v1 battle with the boss up here. Trying to get a cheeky boss play with the Kale Toss and the Uther here. Maybe an early boss thinking that the side of Frankfurters were going to go turn in. Frankfurters aren't buying it. They see the Raynor rotating up. Diablo rotating off. Diva going to go and create some disruption there. They don't really have any pick potential, but Diablo says, you know what, his boss hasn't reset yet. I'm going to go see if we can get this started again. Frankfurters are trying to push out this lane. Maybe you get a pick down onto this Leoric. Leoric's just trying to bait them. all three members are going to go in and turn in real quick. Diablo going to scout this out, but now they see the boss quite hasn't been finished yet. They're electing to go in and pick a kill on the Leoric, get that kill. This boss will negate the Web Weaver in the top phase, so they now only have to defend 2 lanes. So good potential pickup coming out of the side of the Zul'jin Distillery, getting their 10s and being like, come fight us at the boss. We have our 10s online. I want you to create that. But Frankfurters not biting there, electing to go pick up their own Web Weaver phase, try and get this, you know, macro pressure relieved a little bit and get some of that soak to get their own 10s online, get some of that wombo combo pressure for some of these team fights that right now are just non-existent. It's all about the pick game coming out of this Diablo player. I mean, that Web Weaver phase, it was a very defensive Web Weaver phase for sure. But now Web Weavers are available for the side of Zul'jin Distillery, and they have, you know, their 10s, online 10s just coming online, and Greymane going with the go for the throat. Gonna go for just the finish potential. ETC here, and Orphea not able to land her ultimate as well. The tomb does land. Orphea gets blown up. ETC gonna follow in suit. And Lily doing all she can, trying to keep him alive with a couple thousand jugs. ETC power sliding through to get himself away. D.Va going bunny hop. And wow, I called it all sorts of wrong here on the side of Frankfurters. I think every ultimate that I called, they went the exact opposite. Actually, they did. That is the caster just, I guess, not reading it, or they're, you know, since, I don't know. I for sure thought everybody on the side of Frankfurters was going to go the other ultimate. So maybe they're going to show me, you know, why they decided to go this way. But yeah, Greymane going with her throat rip instead of the curse bullet. Lily going for the jugs. ETC getting the mosh pit. D.Va getting just stunned out left and right, going for the bunny hop instead of the micro missile, so won't be able to get that disengage or chase potential. Gonna have a lot more disruption team by ETC getting caught in this entomb here. Gets flipped around, Diablo knocking him away, but ETC gonna take him for a ride through an adventure in this bot lane, just trying to delay as much as he can. The rest of the team, only Raynor is chasing right now. So Raynor may be able to go find that ETC and finish him. Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's finally given up on the ETC. Diablo is just trying to hunt, see if he can get any sort of pick. Meanwhile, this Web Weaver is not doing anything in the bot lane. So the side of Frankfurters, they're doing a good job making him chase. Diablo's still on the hunt, interrupting everything. They were able to pick up the fort in the mid lane, not able to get this keep in the bot lane. So 3 forts all down for the side of Frankfurters here. And they are still got a Web Weaver phase. Greymane going to get picked up there in the top lane. Diablo just continually chased him, refused to let him go. And now they have some nice pressure with the Hyperion to get a siege in this top lane. This top keep is gone. ETC's going to try to come in. Oh, sorry. Not everybody picked. Ooh, Diablo landing the stun onto the ETC. Unstoppable, nicely timed by the Lily there. And but the Mosh goes down to 3 people there. Orphea being able to follow up, and that is 2 kills going down. Or just 1 kill, sorry. The D.Va was the one that ended up losing her mech, so that was 1 kill, but they are on the chase. Raynor getting fairly low. Diablo trying to stun out, but that's both DPS players dead for the side of Frankfurters, or the Zul'jin. Meanwhile, Frankfurters, they're on the hunt. The Greymane just trying to get anything he can, continually jump himself in there and see if he can get a pick. D.Va missing the shot there, and that will be all she wrote. But nice 2 kills. They traded a keep, but they got 2 kills, and so maybe a little bit of signs of life coming in for Frankfurters. They don't quite have turn-in potential yet, but they are able to pick up some of these camps. Their minion waves are in a very safe farming spot, and so they should be able to get their gems in time. Looks like right now they need 7 more. So 7 to the side of Frankfurters, about 15. But I did say they all went the opposite ult. No, ETC did go Mosh. So there was 1 ultimate that I expected to come out that they did pick. ETC did indeed go Mosh Pit, but yeah, I mean, Orphea, if it lands on the Mosh, Crushing Jaws has pretty good value as well. But it's outside of the Mosh. If they're not able to land the Mosh, it's rough. So we'll see. I mean, Lily going more with that defensive couple thousand jugs. Maybe they're just trying to play for like a counter engage potential now. But Uther in the Fog of War, stunning out the ETC. Gem turn-in is online for the side of Frankfurters here. And this minion camp is being pushed out in the mid lane. by the side of Zul'jin Distillery, evening up that map pressure. And they look like they're just trying to delay until 16s come online. I mean, they're so close. The turn-in potential isn't quite there. They're rotating up into this top lane. Gonna get any soak that any place that they can, really. This minion wave in the bot lane is gonna force the side of Frankfurters to go respond to it, meaning that they will be able to safely soak up their 16. They are 16 now, and now Zul'jin are looking for a fight. Any fight they can get, Diablo's like, I want it. New York does have the ETC. If he can land, nice knockback from the ETC to make sure. Oh, but he knocked Uther closer. Can Uther get close enough to be able to get the stun? Not quite able to, but Kael'thas is here. Wants to be very careful with this positioning, but the stun goes down onto the Lili. APOC does land, and that is going to be a very dead Panda. ETC should follow in tow, and that is 2-3 kills. D.Va not able to get back inside of her mech. Divine Storm going down on the Greymane. Greymane gonna burn, and that is going to be a full ace. That is massive play coming out of Zul'jin Distillery there, getting the 5-for-0 pickup. They don't have minions here to create any siege potential. They're on their way, but they do have Web Weaver turn in. Diablo gonna go and turn those Web Weavers in. Meanwhile, the entire side of Frankfurters is going to respawn for a potential mid defense to keep one keep alive, or try to keep one keep alive. Actually, it looks like the side of Zul'jin isn't going to quite be able to pick up this keep. Diablo, like, guys, I need somebody else to turn in. There, he gets the one gem that they were missing, able to get it picked off, and now this map pressure is going to be massive. 16s are not online for the side of Frankfurters. They're not going to be able to pick a fight outside of underneath their own structures here, so they got to defend, and the mid lane is where they want to put all of their energy. Like, if they can keep this keep alive, they're still in the game. They're still in it. They still have potential, but ETC getting caught out by the Diablo. Diablo getting the reset on his Q, and that is a dead ETC. Meanwhile, Orphea and Lili are both caught in the middle. That is another pickup. Uther landing the D-Storm onto the Orphea there, and that is a third kill. Uther will trade his life, but he's like totally worth 3 kills for 1. Web Weavers are here. This looks like Zul'jin Distillery are on their way for the comeback reverse sweep in this best of 3 series here. And it looked like they potentially were going to lose it on that Cursed Hollow. So great, patience coming out of them. Great, great way to turn this series around when it looked like the writing was on the wall, and able to come back and have a very impressive game number 3. Diablo leading the charge with that, all those playmaking potential. GG's, both teams. Holy cow, I'm so glad my schedule cleared up and I got to cast this entire series. That was fantastic. So that was by far the most one-sided any map was tonight. Like, none of those game 1 and 2s were even remotely this one-sided. It was back and forth the whole match. But the side of side of Zul'jin Distillery found a way to just turn it online here in this game number 3, and coming out with the very well played Tomb of the Spider Queen. Oh, let me see if I can get an interview with one of our victors from the side of Zul'jin Distillery. I know it's late. I'll try to make it a rather quick interview, but that was just too much fun. That was well done by both teams all around. Like, that was such a fun series to watch. If you missed the first 2 games, you got to go back and watch them, because they were just a bundle of fun to be able to cast here in these first two matches. But all right, we got 2 people potentially coming in with the interview here. So let me see if I can get them into this lobby. And they said they're bringing a +1. Just kind of hanging out, waiting for. Looks like it's gonna be DeWitt and then someone else from the team potentially coming in. There we are. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Congratulations, Zul'jin Distillery, on your 2-1 win. How you guys feeling right now?
We're feeling really good. That last map felt a lot better than the other two. I feel like we had a lot better control of the game, and we weren't so hectic.
Well, I was gonna say you definitely had control in that game three. And I was saying that was the most one-sided any game was tonight, for sure. But
Yeah,
let's go back to game number one, which is the only map that you guys ended up losing. And for a while in that game one, it looked like the pick composition that you guys drafted with the Varian Malfurion follow up, blow 'em up composition was working pretty well, and then it kind of fell apart. So just talk about a little bit what happened in that game one.
uh, it's- I'll have to go back and watch it, but yeah, I felt like I'm pretty sure we were ahead through level 16. I think we got 16 before them. But I know they got 20 before us, like a decent bit before us. Um, So we definitely controlled the early game, and I thought we played it pretty well. Um, but then it felt like we started getting like picked off uh, individually.
Yeah, we were starting to get picked off. I was overextending a little bit and getting picked off. So it was just making team fights a lot harder at that point.
Yeah, it was fun because you guys like the way the drafts kind of worked out. You could see like whenever each team kind of hit their power spikes, like they had the very obvious early game advantage due to the fact that Varian just isn't quite online yet. But then once you guys hit four, it's like you guys were in command from the second that came on, just making pick after pick after pick with the Varian up until it kind of just started fizzling out. Frankfurters kind of just started getting this little bit of momentum. I think the big rallying point that I said was like they had like three kills on three different areas of the map, like within 10 seconds of each other, and they were able to just get so much more, get even up the macro pressure that you guys had created, and then it felt like the Rexar was just able to create such a problem for you guys in that in defending the forts that they were able to take.
Um, yeah, Rexar, I feel like he wasn't the big issue, but he was there to stun so ETC could wreck us. I feel like because if Rexar stuns us in range or close to range of the tower, ETC can slide and boop. Um, but ETC with the variant comp, he can't just do a vanilla slide on us
Yeah.
because then we just punish it.
Yeah, and you could definitely see that ETC got punished multiple times by the Varian taunt Malfurion route. But so game one start off pretty good and then kind of just fizzled apart. You guys kind of rallied, got rid of the ETC that you could see they put a lot of value on. Game two, you came out with this kind of close quarter Hanzo, Tyrael, Uther, Wombo combo, and it seemed like it was going good, and then it kind of just started falling apart again. How did you guys kind of figure out a way to not let it fall apart and they come and get that game two victory?
I just think
Um,
we were able to just kind of we were able to just do a little bit of macro. I think a little bit better in that second game. We had to settle down and get some things going. And I think we probably took some. I want to say some gutsy boss calls in that game
Oh,
too.
for sure.
Um, that I think at some point they did work out in a favor. If I had bomb up, I was able to drop bomb and kind of do some of the crowd control there. But I think being able to take the Sank and like push into some of those fights just really helped us. And we know that their auto attacker on the Rainer there that play like he was just destroying us. So we were just kind of focusing in on that and just okay, watch for the flank on him, take care of it, and we were able to just kind of keep control of the bosses and get to 20 and just try and push to win.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely seemed like the minute you guys were able to create that defense in the bot lane when they were able to actually steal the boss, and I believe you were in it was either a 4v5 or a 3v5 situation. I have to go back and watch, but it was it was a solid defense. You actually kept the keep alive, which was I thought amazing in its own right, and then responded by getting this bush gank in the bot lane. Kind of a gutsy call considering that their composition. You had the Sanct available, but after that, felt like that was the momentum you guys needed to end it right there.
Yeah, I also, if I remember correctly, too, in that game, they seem to be very spread out in that game too. So like, I think DeWitt picked up on that, and that's why we were able to go, hey, let's set up a gank here to take advantage of that, being how split they were into the lanes.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had a lot of tools that I feel like maybe aren't as common picks in competitive right now. It may change with the meta, but like we had the Gust, we had the Sanct, we had Divine Storm, we had Bomb, but it was kind of and Arrow is big too.
Hmm.
So we had all this zoning, but it's such a uh, I think it's kind of high execution because if you I mean if we misplayed, which we did a few times, like a top lane fight um, and bottom lane fight, I think too. If we used our tools wrong, then we got totally boned. But I think the idea was that with the bush, it's like we have Divine Storm. Like if we can pick someone off, make it a 4v5, there's no way they can respond with a kill against Tyrael. So because of the first of all the shields, the movement speed, and then the Sanct.
Right.
So that was the idea. Just use our tools in the correct ways
Yeah.
to make it where they couldn't counterplay them,
Yeah.
which we
Absolutely.
screwed up over. I think we screwed up a lot of times, but
Well, but I
he knew
mean,
that.
they were there, and then it kind of seemed like they were getting like they were just kind of off a little bit in the when you guys were starting to fall behind, and then once you got that gank and that bush gank in the bot, like I think you landed your entire combination perfectly, and you got like 3 kills within 2 seconds, and then you did it again one more fight later, and it was like just those 2 times was enough for you guys
Yeah.
to just go on and win that game too, which is great because that led us to game three, where you guys had map pick since the other team first pick, and you went to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Going with that route was Diablo always. It got picked very late, but I was curious if Diablo was even going to make an appearance first off, let alone get picked up as late as it did.
Well, I wasn't really planning it at the beginning, but then they picked up the Greymane and the Orphea, which I kind of thought they'd go Orphea when we took the Leo. Um, and I feel like Diablo was gonna be really easy to punish. Orphea, if not Orphea and Greymane.
Mhm.
But I also considered maybe main tanking the Uther just to try to ruin the Greymane's life. But we decided that uh, it would probably be easier just to go for the Orphea in fights.
Yeah. And it looked like from the get go in this game three. I mean, maybe that it was just the momentum carrying over from game two, but it was a completely different story. You guys came out and were just getting pick after kind of very similar to how game one started when you guys got that level four. It was just pick after pick after pick, but this time the foot didn't come off the gas, and you guys were able to just execute it so well. Leor coming out and getting some great rotations and landing some massive entombs on develop. I think you got Lily and Orphea in at least three, if not
Yeah,
if not more.
there's a couple times I was able to get double them. They were just stacked up, and I'm like, "Yep, drop the entomb."
Yeah. So I mean the it was a very very definitive game three coming out, which you know game one and two were very long and close. And this game three, it was like okay, it's getting close to we got to wrap this up and get to bed, kind of deal. It's
Bedtime.
midnight over on the East Coast, so
Yeah,
let's end this quickly, but. So yeah, real quick, if I can ask each of you individually, you can each give your own answer. Who do you guys think was your team's MVP throughout this entire series?
I don't know. Go ahead, DeWitt.
I don't know either. Um,
It's not me because
I
I
think
played terribly the first two games.
I think Ankle Shot played just a really solid all around game. Um, I don't I think that's the first time he's ever played Falstad for us,
Mhm.
um, which is pretty cool. But I think we all were getting picked, but I don't know if he was getting picked at all. So, and with the Kale in the last game, the gravity lapses were always like right there for the follow up.
Right.
So I thought he played a really solid game. Maybe not super flashy, but it was very solid.
Consistency.
Yes.
That's what you like out of your assassin players. There is it doesn't always have to be the highlight play, but as long as you can consistently put out the hurt, hey, we're in a good spot.
Yep.
Alrighty. Last thing, guys, before we wrap this up, I'll open up the floor to you guys. Any shout outs you'd like to give to Twitch or anything? It's completely your guys' floor.
You want to start, Kyle?
Yeah, just give a shout out to our sixth member. Wow, I'm forgetting names right now. I'm sorry, Nutcracker. He's always there for us if we need him to. Thank you for casting us tonight. Appreciate it. I look forward
Absolutely.
to looking back to the replay of that. Other than that, I got nothing. Go ahead, do it.
Yeah. I'll shout out Ripper and Shredded Wind who help us with our strats time to time. Also, definitely shout out to Frank's Furters because that was a really hard match. And then to no, I'm forgetting. Oh, shout out to our biggest fan, Dana, and shout out to you for casting us.
Absolutely. Alrighty,
Really appreciate it.
guys. No worries. Yeah, it's my pleasure. I love doing this. Like I was telling everybody else, I was so lucky that it just so happened that I could be able to pick this up because originally I wasn't gonna cast tonight. So, but again, this was Dewitt and Cowboy Kyle. Congratulations on your 2-1 victory, putting you guys up really close to the top, if not in that number one spot for now. So looking for more great things coming out of Zul'jin Distillery down the road. But yeah, thank you again both for the interview and good luck with the rest of your season.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our tank and off laner coming out of Zul'jin Distillery, looking good in that 2-1 victory. Definitely loved the how they found their way to come back into this series when I was thinking that it was potentially a 2-0 victory the other way in one of those last plays, but they found a way to get that defense, make the game delay a little longer on Cursed Hall, and then just found those picks and were able to get themselves to a game 3 where they were able to show how strong they were. So congratulations to them. Looking at my schedule going forward, so like I said, I wasn't originally casting tonight, did end up picking it up. Moving forward, tomorrow night, I have a match up. I've got 2-1 Blackman Street against Can't Connect Suns. That night, we're in C West, so we're staying in Division C tomorrow night. Thursday will be my next cast. Oh, sorry, and that will be at 8 o'clock Pacific time, 11 o'clock Eastern. I typically do the later games because I live on the West Coast. So I try to get as many of those in. Thursday night, we are going to go to Division A, and I've got an awesome matchup there between Lurk Patrol and Manaval, sorry, I always say their name wrong. Manaval. So Lurk Patrol, Manaval, I've had the opportunity to cast both teams. Both teams look very, very strong, so I'm excited for that Division A matchup on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going down to Division D West. I've got a matchup between TRSG Knights and the Core Bouncers, and that will be Friday at 7 o'clock Pacific time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. So, got some exciting matches coming up this week for sure. Looking forward to all of those. My quick shout outs. Thank you all for coming and watching. I really do enjoy your guys' support. Thank you for all the follows that were dropped. I definitely appreciate all of that. I will always recommend it to anybody who wants to come out and watch some HOTS action. You could drop a follow. I always send out a notification saying, I'm going live. I've got this cast coming up tonight. Yeah, and then just shout out to both of these teams coming out and duking it out. I always enjoy a very competitive game of HOTS. So That's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you all so much. This has been IceX. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Go get some sleep, and I'll see you back here tomorrow evening. Good night, all.